Okay, I just got a note saying that this meeting is being recorded, so great. All right, hopefully I don't sound too crazy. Welcome to English 220. So I'm your professor, I'm Joe Betts, and I am in my kind of like little garden shed. That's why I'm kind of in this weird space right now. Um, and I like to come out here and work and spend mornings out here and get things done. But I'll share a little bit about me and then we'll talk about the class. This is meant to be a welcome video for you so you have a little bit better understanding of who I am and what we'll get to in the course. Um, I want to make sure that I share how you can be successful in the course, and I also want to make sure that I don't take too much of your time. So my goal is to finish the core part of this within like the next 5, 6 minutes. Okay, so to begin, I've already told you my name, and so a little bit more about my role at the college. Um, I'm Ivy Online's assistant faculty lead, and what that really means is I'm kind of like our online English department chair. Ivy Online isn't a campus. You're connected with with a campus, one of our 19 campuses, and you decided to take an online class rather than an in-person class on your campus. And so what I do is I staff all of these courses and supervise them, except I don't supervise my own course. Our faculty lead, effectively our dean for art sciences and education, is the supervisor in this course, and I'll show you her information in the syllabus later. But that's my primary role now. And before this, I was an instructor to assistant professor to associate professor, then full professor on the Bloomington campus. So if any of you are Bloomington students, I live here in Bloomington. You might see me around. Make sure you say hi. And that is, my home campus and my primary workspace. Though I do work at home a decent amount as well. And gosh, let's see. I've lived in Bloomington for quite some time. I'm married. Uh, my wife and I have a kid who's 10 years old now. She's selling a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. So if you want Girl Scout cookies, let me know. I'll send you a link. Uh, and gosh, what else? I think that's it. Those are the key points. I share a little bit more about myself within the about me space on the homepage that you're free to check out. But what's most important for you all is to understand how can you succeed in our course and what is our course all about. So I'm going to share my my screen with you so we can look at a couple of things, and then oops, there we go. Always that awkward transition, right, between sharing and not. Now you're just seeing me talk to myself. Let's pop over here. Um, we want to allow on every visit. So I have like a new Zoom app update, which is annoying. All right, so let's look here. So whenever you pop into our course, you'll land on a homepage, and you'll have some quick links to various areas um, and some items. The first thing that I want to note is that our class is an asynchronous course, meaning we don't meet at a particular date and time like you would on campus. Instead, you complete this work whenever it fits your schedule. And we're all kind of working together in order to move through the learning materials, discuss them, share our thoughts, and learn something and move forward. But there might be something that you need to speak with me about, and you want that to happen synchronously, like through a Zoom call, right, like this, and we can do that. The only concern is that I don't have set hours because I have loads and loads of different meetings Monday through Friday. I can't say that I'll always be free from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wednesdays. I just don't know that. So if you want to meet, we'll get together. We'll just determine when we can get together, and you'll just let me know that through email. So just always make sure that you're emailing me questions. Or emailing me requests to meet if you're confused about something, and then we'll find a time to make that work, and then we'll meet here in that Zoom room, which is the room that we're in right now for this. All right. So this is your homepage, the syllabus, to look at that really quickly so you have an idea of what we'll do in the course and how you'll be graded. Uh, we use a Norton Anthology textbook, and you'll access that textbook here through the textbook link. And so it's a literature course, so you can imagine we're going to read a lot. We'll be reading in this course, and we'll be discussing what we read with other people. And that's the core of literature and literature courses. We read, we think, we interpret, we summarize, we provide suggestions and thoughts, and we hear what other people have to say, and then we usually write about it in some more formal fashion. So the course learning objectives are here. They're effectively like, to summarize all of these, it's, hey, we want to develop our critical thinking skills using a lot of this ancient literature to think about it and to think about that ancient literature, develop our critical thinking skills, reflect that into our own values and our own growth, and all while working to develop our writing skills as well. Writing, at the end of the day, is just thinking. Writing is thinking, and it's just thinking on the page. So their goal is for us to learn how to do that in this literature context, and we'll learn some vocabulary about literature and things like that. And we'll look at all different types of literary genres. Now, it's important to note that almost all of the writing that we'll look at, I think actually all of the writing that we'll look at, is translated from some other language into English, which is kind of interesting. It raises some interesting cultural questions, right? So that's just one little early tidbit for you to think critically about as we move into this course. We will have a discussion each week. These discussions will vary from, like this current week will be like kind of an introductory discussion with some, kind of loosely related connections to our course, but also an opportunity for us to get to know each other a little bit better. And then beyond that, we'll start to have discussions that are more tailored to the readings that we have for the week and allow us an opportunity to work together. And you want to think of these discussion spaces as this is what would happen in class. This is where I would throw out a question to you. We'd probably sit together in silence awkwardly for like 60 seconds until one brave person got us started, or I'd call on somebody. And so you can imagine when you jump in these discussions that I'm calling on you, right? I'm like, hey, tell me what you think about this. And then you're going to get responses back from people, and you're going to respond to other people yourself, and that's how that's going to work. Super important part of our class. So the discussions aren't throwaways. I'll be in there discussing things with you as well, because I'll be reading through all these texts again with you and discussing my thoughts too. We'll have quizzes. The quizzes are kind of there as ways to just make sure that we're having some knowledge checks, and we are learning the vocabulary, the terminology that we need to learn, and also just the reading checks too, to make sure that we're reading what's been assigned that week. And then we'll have some other assignments throughout the course that will be kind of usually short writing assignments or like annotation assignments, things like that. Because as we read these texts, we might read 50 pages of a text, and we can't, in a literature course, it's different than reading at home for fun. We might like the reading, but we're usually using that reading to achieve something else in the course. And so we want to make sure that we're annotating, that we are actively reading, meaning we're not just reading and letting it wash over us and go away, but we're reading it, we're thinking about it, and we're annotating, we're making some notes about it as we go, so that way we can maybe use those later. And then we'll have a final paper at the end of the class where we'll go through a drafting process, get peer reviewed, you'll get my feedback, and you'll work to create the best final essay that you can. So those are that's the kind of the core snapshot for you of how the course will work. I want to note my makeup policy, because it could be different from other courses you take. Late assignments will be given a 0 unless you reach out to me beforehand to share that you need an extension. So just be in communication with me about what you might need, and then we'll work to make sure that you don't lose a big chunk of points because it's late. Okay, so that's an important item for you to think about. And then the last one here just relates with acting with integrity in the course. So that means that we want to make sure that all the work we do in the course, comes from us, comes from our brain, isn't being copied and pasted from elsewhere, isn't being thrown into some generative AI tool to spit out something for us. Because if we do that, we're just shortchanging ourselves, and we're missing the entire point of what it means to be a college-educated person. So to wrap up here quickly, because I've already gone past my time, for ways, let me go ahead and stop sharing and just jump back here with you. think we've stopped sharing now. And now we're back in this zone. Okay. Um, Gosh, and I hope that all that just worked. I'll have to record all this again. I'm trying to use like Zoom as a desktop app um, because of some weird update. Anyway, you don't care about my computer problems. You care about how to succeed in the course, and I can tell you that you will succeed if you develop a schedule for yourself that breaks out at least 6 hours of time each week to work on our course through readings and responding to assignments and things like that. That would be the amount of time that you would spend in class if we were together on campus at a minimum. And then you'd likely have homework to do, right? So think about that. So that means at a minimum, you need to carve out 6 hours of your week to spend on English 220. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. You're going to be successful because you're going to be moving through the materials. You're going to be asking me questions. You're going to be looking at the lecture support that I provide. And I will do that at the beginning of each module. Like you're going to see a module one instructor lecture video from me that's going to come through there. Watch those first, so that way you're guided into the module and to help you be successful. I always try to make those like 10 minutes or less and set you up to move into what you have to do and give you the tools to succeed. So that's going to be it for right now. I hope that this is all recorded successfully. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know you all. Watch for that module one recording soon.